Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I've got a different tie on. That's because today we've got a different formal event, that being a new series that I'm announcing, and that is the Cressminster Raptor Den Poké Show. Now, for those of you that don't know, in the Discord, I recently posted an announcement kind of saying I have this new event, Pokemon Review channel. Put your Pokemon in there, or put your Cresses in there, and I'll review them eventually. I'll get around to it. Well, I finally gotten around to it. So, yeah, thank you to all that submitted. We had 71 submissions in total. A lot of Cresselias for me to look through and review. I do intend to do this in the future for legendary events. Maybe other events if there's an especially notable spawn that you guys want to see me review. But there's a lot of work that goes into this, so I don't think this will be a relatively frequent thing. Aside from legendaries, especially. We'll see about Darkrai based off how Darkrai ends up turning out, but we still don't know all the details about that. But anyway, they're always going to be the Cressminster Raptor Den Poké Show review, or Poké Show. I made a little logo for that. It took me longer than I'd like to admit. But anyway, let's just hop right into seeing the Pokemon that you guys sent in. Now, before I get into this, I do want to give a little disclaimer. The way that I was kind of evaluating the Pokemon was kind of just considering all sub-skills. Obviously, levels 75 and 100 were taken into account less than prior to, just because prior to the sub-skills that we were able to reach with the current state of the game. But I figured if you're looking to invest into a legendary, especially a healing legendary, that you are willing to invest full sub-skill seeds and full main skill seeds to bring it up. If you're not willing to do that, then maybe my analysis is not so perfect for you, and I'd say just take it to Rain X to figure out what is best for you. And yeah, that's really what I'd say about it as to whether your Cress is good or not. Now, for the first three categories, we have Meh Cresselias, Good Cresselias, and Great Cresselias. So, these are the ones that didn't really have too much to discuss, nothing really interesting going on with them that I want to make a talking point out of. But I would say if they're in the first category, they're just kind of meh. I probably wouldn't invest them because the base one is probably the same or better than what they've got going for them. But they're not like horrendously bad either. But they're just there. If you really want to use a Crest, then maybe invest them if it's like one of your favorite Pokemon. But I'd say it's probably better to use other options than to try and invest in any of these legendaries, because you're going to be sorely disappointed by their lack of output. But anyway, let's take a look at the meh ones. So, we have a list here. I'm going to move my face real quick so I don't block any names. I've credited all the people that have sent them in. Some of you guys sent in multiple Cresses for me to review, which was alright. I was happy to go through all of them, but you'll see a couple names get repeated quite a bit. I know Sonja and Rizla in particular sent in quite a bit. So, these are all the ones that I'd say were kind of meh submissions that didn't have any interesting talking points. I'll leave them on the screen for like 5 more seconds, just for you to check them out. You can see most of them have like one tier of trigger, one good thing, maybe a good, decent thing overall. Like, not great, but alright. Anyway, I'll advance. So, onto the good Cresselias. These are the ones that I'd say are, if you want to use Cresselia, if you think that it's got good options, if you think that it's a good Pokemon and can particularly benefit your team, then I'd say that these are the ones that are usable. They're definitely usable catches. They're not the best catches in the game, but if you want to use a Cresselia, I think these ones are actually worthwhile investments as compared to the meh ones before. We got 2 slides of these. So this first one here, these are all decent. You can see usually they have like 2 good things, probably Skill Trigger M, Help Speed M, maybe Skill Trigger M, and Sub-Skill Seedable something, maybe Skill Trigger M and like a Nature that's beneficial, but nothing like amazing, nothing terrible either. Probably look for something better if you have something better in your box, but if this is the best that you have, then all of these are reasonable investments. They're not amazing, not terrible, but they will do at least okay at the job that they're trying to do. I'll leave it on for like a few more seconds, just so you can see. Alrighty, I think that's been long enough. We'll go on to the Great Cresselias. Now, these are the ones that I'd say, if you caught them, I would strongly consider investing them, unless you already have, like, If it doesn't really fit your plans at all, then I understand just holding the box, but definitely don't transfer it because it's got great sub-skills in nature, and I think Cress is a Pokemon that a lot of people are sleeping on and actually has a lot of potential. And you were given a great Cresselia that you can invest in if you see your Cresselia listed on the next 3 slides. And definitely is usable, definitely is probably worth building a team around if you can. I'd suggest probably getting an Espeon is probably the best thing to synergize with it. But here they are. So first slide, you can see that a lot of them have what I would say are like 3 good sub-skills, or beneficial nature is like a third thing. So help speed M, maybe helping bonus, maybe skill trigger M, as well as a skill chance up nature. Great combos there. Maybe double speed, a skill trigger up nature. Congrats to anyone who's on this page. Oh, whoops, I actually went back a slide. Advance a slide. You can see, like I said, sub-skill seedable stuff. Maybe inventory in there as well is always kind of a nice thing, but really it's the skill triggers and the help speed and helping bonus, like the 3 big things we're looking for, or a complementary nature with speed of help or main skill chance up. And this is the last slide of what I would consider to be the great Cresselias. This last one here I kind of contemplated with for a while. It's got a lot of speed, but then it's got speed of help down, so it's kind of fighting itself. If this skill trigger wasn't in at 75, then I'd say it's probably just good at best, but it barely made the cut for great, just because I feel like with skill trigger eventually coming in with long enough investment, it is worthwhile, because you're not going to catch a better one after the event is over, because after the event is over, your odds of catching one significantly drop at all, like catching one at all. Anyway, next is what I consider the notable mentions category. Now, they're not all necessarily good, they're not all necessarily bad. They just have more going on in their sub-skills that I wanted to discuss that weren't on the previous ones. The previous ones were just kind of like, are they meh, good, or great? These ones all have interesting stuff going on. And the first I want to talk about was Berry Finding S. We had 2 submissions, one by Bizzle and one by Pocket Boy. I think these are both great Cresselias, or good or great Cresselias, because they're decent for procs, but also have Berry Finding S. Now, something very interesting about Cresselia is they gave it a shockingly good frequency. The best frequency currently in the game is Raikou with 2100 seconds, followed by Raichu, Gengar, and Jolteon with 2200 seconds. Cresselia is tied with Heracross in that 3rd fastest speed bracket, being 2300 second frequency. So, very, very fast Pokemon. Not the fastest in the game, but top 3 speed tiers. So, Berry Finding S, it actually gets a lot of value out of that Berry Finding S, just because it's producing a lot of helps at a base rate. Now, it also produces berries through its main skills, so it doesn't necessarily need Berry Finding S to produce a lot of berries, which is kind of why I value it a little bit less on Cress, because it also does kind of hurt those procs a little bit through clogging the inventory a little bit. But overall, the value gained by it is very significant, and it's definitely something worth mentioning. That if the Cress is at least decent at what it's trying to do, with at least one skill trigger sub-skill, then I think Berry Finding S is very potent on Cress, and both of these options that were submitted are great for that purpose. While also having... This one by Bizzle eventually has Helping Bonus, which Berry Finding S Helping Bonus is a very powerful combo. There's no real surprise there. So, good for triggers, but Berry Finding S makes them great options overall. You'll be hurting a little bit more for energy compared to other Cress options, potentially, depending on what else is in your box. But, berries, this thing's going to be king. Or queen, I guess, because all Cresses are female. Anyway, next one, discount options. I want to talk about discount options. These are some interesting ones because they have a skill level up sub-skill in them, or 2, which saves on seeds quite a bit, and is actually, I'd say, worth consideration because seeds are very costly. I know I personally am at a huge seed deficit, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were at that, and investing up a legend is not cheap. Especially, like, it takes 5 main skill seeds if you're investing one that doesn't have any... skill level up sub-skills. So having just a guaranteed 3 skills by getting it to level 50, that's getting it to level 4, you only have to invest 2 main seeds. And if you have a skill trigger sub-skill in there, or in this case 2, if you have more this one might be a little bit more difficult, more to justify, because you'd have to use a sub-skill seed if you want to get the 2 levels out of it. But still, a decent amount of triggers, while also having free seeds, Definitely worthwhile. If you have a really good option, I'd maybe hold off. But thank you to Chaz, Sonja, and who sent in her alt account, and Declermont for sending these in, because they're all interesting options, and I think they're worth consideration just because of how cheap they are compared to other legends. Alrighty, the next ones, I didn't put any names on these ones, but we did have 3 people send in the base crest. I don't know if it was intended to be a joke or if you guys just didn't realize that it was the base crest. Either way, I wanted to put it here to make note of either, A, if it was intended to be a joke, good job, yeah, it gave me a little bit of a chuckle. If you didn't realize that the base crest was a thing, don't feel bad. You just weren't aware. So don't feel bad that it gave me a chuckle. It still brightened my day up a little bit. But every crest, or every legend, the first one that you catch is exactly the same. It has a hardy nature that is hard-coded, and it has sleep XP bonus, skill level up S, inventory L, health speed S, skill trigger S. Now I think this crest was designed this legend was designed very well, because the idea behind it is if you come in after the event and want to catch a usable one or want to use your favorites, and your favorite is a legend, then you only have to catch one. Just Master Biscuit 1, and then level it to 100, theoretically, if you're thinking the long term of the game, and subskill seed it, fully invest, and then it's usable. It's not intended to be great, but it's intended that every person playing the game, as long as you catch one, it will eventually be usable with enough investment if you are that dedicated. And I think they did very well in designing the subskills the way they did to get that exact purpose, because there still is very good reason to catch more of them. Because it is so late that it comes online and does take such heavy investment. But I wouldn't recommend running the base crest unless it is the best option that you caught and you really want to use it. Because you need to have an account you need to be someone who wants to use it in order to justify using this. Because it's going to be way too late to come online for it to be justifiable for any other account. But yeah. Also, something else interesting that I wanted to note is that we had 2 people submit the base crest that had the exact same ingredients list, and this wasn't the same person. You can tell because one of them, they have different names, but 2 of the 3 people that submitted the base crest as their entrance, or one of their entrances, actually had the exact same ingredients list, which I think is kind of interesting. Anyway, because that is the one thing that is randomized on the base crest. Then these ones are ones that I said were so close. This really could have been 2 separate categories, but I still left it as one. These are all the ones that were like, either they fit one of 2 conditions. Either they had everything to make it good, but then had a terrible nature ruining them, or they had everything to be good, but in the reverse order. Similar to the base crest, honestly. Now, we see both examples here, like this one submitted by Dizzy. It's got skill trigger S right at level 100, and if they flipped it, granted, you'd want to keep this health speed S at the same spot, but like if you could move this skill trigger up, my gosh, skill chance up, helping speed M after subskill seed, skill trigger M after this thing would be great. This one over here, it's got helping speed and skill trigger in the first couple subskills, but it's got a main skill chance down nature that ruins it. Sonja, poor Sonja, had a lot of these. Every time that I see these, they just kind of hurt my soul a little bit, especially when I'm the one catching them. But a lot of, like, just backwards, like skill level up or skill trigger right at the end, or a main skill chance down nature, ruining an otherwise good catch. Now, I do want to make special note of this one submitted by Charles Sarah Zard. It's got skill trigger M at level 50, so it's not quite completely flipped, because it does still have a main skill chance up nature and skill trigger M at level 50. So it still is, I'd say that's usable. That's a decent crest. Pretty good. Not amazing. I wouldn't be like, oh yes, this thing's great at level 50. Because my thought would just be, my goodness, if the subskills were backwards, it would be like one of the best crests you could catch. I wanted to make note of it as I'd still probably use it if I didn't catch a better one. But my goodness, it would just have so much more potential if you could theoretically flip the subskills. I'm not saying that we should add something to the game to do that, or we should add mints. I'm actually heavily against both ideas. But it's still notable when it happens, because it hurts. And my condolences go out to you guys. I am sorry that this happened to you, and that these were some of your catches. And Sonja, my goodness, you caught a lot of Cresselias during this time, because your name's popped up a couple times in here. But anyway, these were ones that I said were wrong specialty. Now, Berry Fighting S, like I said earlier, is very powerful on Cresselia, I feel. But it can't be the only thing that it's got going for it, because it's still a skill specialist first and foremost. And like this first one and this last one here don't really have much going for it in terms of triggers until way too late, once again. But they got like Berry Fighting S and some speed. So they kind of are messed up in their specialty, because they would much rather prefer to be berry specialists with these sorts of sub-skills. Now this one, submitted by Eli the Asian, I still would strongly consider it, probably run it through Rain on X a couple times, compare it to some other things, compare it to my other Cresselia options, because it could still be very good. That much speed, you still might get a decent amount of procs, and Berry Finding S is going to be very powerful, so I'd still maybe consider it, but I'd have to actually see how it ranks up in Rain On. Now, this one over here, by Night Fury 367, interesting, but I probably wouldn't invest. And then this one in the middle, submitted by Sonja again, thinks it's an ingredient farmer, but doesn't at the same time, because it's got both ingredient finding sub-skills, but interestingly has an ingredient finding down nature. So this one's just really confused. It's not really wrong specialty. Confused is more the better term for this one, but I still thought it was funny to note. Okay, so then this one, submitted by Sir Mage. Thanks so much for sending this in, and I think you, Sir Mage, genuinely, if there's such thing as winning an event in this game, I think you won the event, because it's a shiny Cresselia. Shiny legends basically are unheard of in this game. Like, yes, they happen. You see them every once in a while in the wild on the subreddit. You see them every once in a while in the Discord, submitted by like 1 in 100 people. But of the 71 Cresselias that were submitted, this was actually the very first submission that I got in the channel, and it was a shiny. I was like, oh my goodness, Sir Mage, that is super lucky. And it doesn't have terrible stats. Like, it's not amazing, but honestly, I might consider investing just because it's a shiny that has semi-half-decent stats. I mean, you definitely would be a suboptimal choice, but to use a shiny legend nonetheless, my goodness, the rarity on that is just insane. It's something that I would consider investing, knowing it is a suboptimal choice. A very suboptimal choice, but still interesting and cool to see a shiny in the community, because that's got to be like very, very small percentage of accounts that have that. Okay, then I want to mention honorable mentions. These are 3 Cresselias that were submitted that didn't quite make the cut for top 5, because only 5 of them can be the top 5. But I wanted to still mention them because they were in the running, but I had to truly actually like run Rain on X calculations to rule these ones out and decide in favor of a different one. In fact, one of them in particular, I won't say which one, but one of them in particular I had in the top 5 until I ran a Rain on X calculation and saw that one of the top 5 ones actually performed better across all levels. So I had to do some readjustments because my gut was honestly wrong about which one was better. So I'm glad I ran them through Rain on X. But these 3 are, this first one's submitted by RX Pikachu. It's got double trigger and help speed S that's sub-skill seedable to help speed M. First 3 sub-skills, exactly what you're looking for. Amazing. And then it only gets better from there, also offering Berry Finding S. The big thing that's holding it back compared to the other options is that it doesn't have a helping bonus for one. Its nature doesn't have anything to boost main skill output. It's really just got those sub-skills, which while they're very good and very powerful, it's not like it's not as good as some of the other ones we'll be seeing. But Berry Finding S is very, very powerful, and it's what kind of brings it up to this tier, where I was considering it for top 5. But the Berry Finding S, while it does provide a lot of extra strength that the other Cresses don't have, it also clogs the inventory, which makes it just a little bit weaker for healing, which holds it back just a bit. Now, the second one here, submitted by Smouse, very good Cress as well. The biggest thing holding this one back is that it's kind of late, because that first sub-skill is inventory, which I'd rather see inventory in like the level 75 slot. So it takes a little bit to come online. But once it does, my goodness, level 75, even just having Help Speed M, Skill Trigger M, and Helping Bonus, those 3 sub-skills alone, amazing, phenomenal support. It's going to take a long time to get there, but just having Help Speed M and Skill Trigger M alone, with a little bit bonus inventory, just to add as like a nice little cherry on top, is still going to be very, very good. And eventually getting Helping Bonus will take this thing over from being good to being phenomenal and top tier. And this one by Jesse Huffy. Now this one's a bit less, like, it actually has the opposite issue almost of like, it doesn't really get much better after level 50, but level 50, it's very good immediately. It's going to take a really long time before it gets to level 100 and unlocks that Help Speed M, but having Skill Trigger M and Helping Bonus with a Speed of Help Up Nature, also very comparable and powerful, with a little bit of inventory as well. This one submitted by Smouse and Jesse are actually pretty similar in some ways, but just kind of different in the arrangement, which is why they're kind of interesting. But these 3, very good honorable mentions. Definitely top 10 for the Discord submissions. Top 8 by my rankings here. But overall, yeah, good Cresselias. Now, I also wanted to do dishonorable mentions. When I set this idea out there, I told you guys to send me both your good and your bad. And I wanted to bring attention to the top 5 worst Cresselias that were caught. So these are the stinkers of the bunch. And you can see one thing consistent across all of them. First off, 2 of them submitted by Rizla. Rizla, I am sorry that you had to catch 2 of them with the lax nature, because that is that is a curse, my man. But main skill chance down across all of them. It's the worst downside that they can have in a nature. So it's no big shocker that that's there. And they don't even have much going for them in the sub-skills to offer reparations for the terrible nature. Skill, you might see like a skill level up or a skill trigger here and there, but it'll really only be like one good thing, and that does not counteract the bad effects of the bad nature. Don't invest in any of these 5 if you have them. Roberto, Rizla, Khalife, or Slashburner. They're bad Pokemon, and you have a better option. I guarantee you have a better option because it's the base Cresselia. The base Cresselia is better than any of these ones, so don't consider investing in these ones. But thanks for sending them in because they're fun to review and look at and be like, my goodness, that's rough. Alrighty, then. Finally, we're on to the top 5 Cresselias. Now, before I get into this, I want to discuss a little bit about the Rain on X analysis that I did for all of them. In the bottom left corner of the screen, you'll see a little Rain on X showing their productivity at level 50, 75, and 100. Because I wanted to mark those 3 points late game. 50 is the one that we want to focus on the most because it's the one that's going to be most applicable to right here and now for a long portion of the game. But I wanted to include those later numbers because honestly, when evaluating Pokemon that are this good, I almost have to evaluate based off level 75 to 100 because a lot of the comparisons at level 50 alone are very similar for most of these. So I wanted to take it beyond that point just because it's where a lot of the differences come from between them in actual strength. Additionally, when I was ranking or evaluating these on production comparison, I set up the team so that it would be alongside a Pikachu of equal level, and then 2 Bulbasaurs of equal level, and an Espeon of equal level. Now that's important for determining the strength of Cresselia's skill. The reason why I did it the way that I did was because I set that Electric Berry would be favored berry, Grass Berry would not be favored berry, and Psychic Berry was not favored either, but Espeon's there to boost Cresselia's main skill. The reason why I set it up that way is because I figure having 1 additional Psychic type is reasonable, based off the way that I've seen Cresselia be evaluated. I think an Espeon is very good synergy, but having an additional healer is a bit excessive. And Musharna, I really wouldn't recommend running a Musharna unless you're at a place that has Psychic Berry favored. In that circumstance, it can be great synergy with Cress, but I still, outside of that circumstance, I wouldn't recommend running Musharna just to boost Cresselia's main skill. The reason why the Raichu is because I figure we're probably going to have at least 1 berry specialist on the team with favored berry, and then the 2 Bulbasaurs are there to act as filler for rotating ingredient slots or generalist Pokemon that don't care about favored berry. So I figure that's what a lot of team comps are going to look like, probably the most average team comp. So it's why I used that for evaluating the Cresselia. if you were to change that, it may change the value of some of these Pokemon or the way that they would output, because I did factor in the number of procs for helping bonus versus berries. Overall, it may change the value of the skill, so ones that have more skill procs may rank in higher, is what matters most. So, number 5, submitted by Richie Boo. Now, it's something very interesting. Its level 10 slot really isn't useful to it at all, but levels 25 and 50, phenomenal. We got Skill Trigger M and Help Speed M, and we have a Skill Chance Up Nature. Now, Speed of Help Down is one of the big things that is drawing this Cresselia back a little bit, but it's got so many procs per day anyway at level 50, with producing 37,000 strength based off this analysis, and 79.8% energy on average per day. This thing is great. It's got Skill Trigger M, Help Speed M, main skill chance up nature. Speed of Help Down is a little bit of a drawback, but eventually one day it'll also have Helping Bonus, and way down the road in the future it'll have Berry Finding S, which Berry Finding S Help Bonus is one of the strongest, most powerful combinations in the game, and this Cresselia has it. It just will be a long time before it gets there. So that's why I considered it, and I have the numbers on screen for you as well. Now, this next one, I could see the case for Luna Arc. That's the name of this Cresselia, submitted by Shake X Love. Also, sorry if I submitted it, if I pronounced any names wrong, but I'm trying my best. Luna Arc here has Help Speed M, Inventory L, Skill Trigger M. Now, overall, it's producing like a few more procs. Now, it shows that it's producing less at level 75 and 100, but I had, for this analysis, I had Help Bonus stack sets to null. So it's heavily favoring Help Bonus. This one more accurately reflects the Cress's contributed value, because it's assuming extra value for the other team members. But this one's going to more accurately represent the procs. Now, you can see that the proc count is relatively similar, despite this one having the Help Bonus stacks going in its favor. So this one submitted by Shake X Love is going to produce more energy than what this one otherwise would, because it's not proccing as much. And at level 50, you can see that they're basically the same. And the other big reason why... Oh man, I just realized I messed up here. This one's a little bit weaker. I did do the Random X analysis correctly, but... because I remember I came back to this and took this screenshot later. I actually analyzed it as if it had an XP gains down nature. It has a speed gains down nature. So this one does actually have more productivity at level 50. That's why I ranked them the way I did. I was kind of confused after seeing these numbers again. This one's worse. A little bit worse. So, but it's still very good and still definitely outranks the honorable mentions. Like I said, when I did the initial analysis, it wasn't the one that I got the screenshot. I messed up when I just took the screenshot. Sorry about that. This one does come in better, though. So, more procs is very powerful on Cress, as it has a very powerful main skill. So, it's one of the few points where I may actually trade off Helping Bonus a bit more and be willing to favor more procs. Especially since it can gain more out of the energy from, like, more procs on a traditional healer just means more flexibility to rotate it off. More procs on a Cress actually means more useful healing because you're not necessarily topping it off. So I think that more procs is more valuable compared to Help Bonus on this healer specifically compared to other healers. I've made a Help Bonus on the healer video to talk about that concept. I'll link it in the description if you want to learn more about that. But Cresselia is a bit of an exception to those general rules. And I think that this one ranks in better than that number 5. Now the next one, number 3, submitted by TG Allman 5 or T Gallman 5. I don't know. And sorry for mispronouncing names, but this one's got Skill Trigger S, Help Speed M, or Sub-Skill Seedable Help Speed M. It's not there yet. Then Skill Trigger M. It's with a main skill chance up, XP gains down nature. XP gains down does suck on a legend, but once you get to level 50, this thing is going to be godlike as far as Cresselias go. It's got the best 3 sub-skills in the game for raw proc amounts, and it's got the best nature for raw proc amounts. You couldn't be asking for much more than this, and it's all got it all before level 50, which, like I said earlier, level 50 is what matters the most when evaluating these things. If you were to evaluate it based off of PR, so that's comparative value to other Cresselias, it may start to dip at around 75 and 100 because these two subskills don't really help it that much. But realistically, you're not going to catch better than this, and it's already at like one of the best possible Cresselias you could have in the entire game, right at level 50. But it really does lose out compared to some of the number 2 and number 1 slots just because of longevity across its lifespan. So, the number 2 Cresselia, again, it's got those same first 3 subskills. It's got a main skill chance up nature. This one was submitted by Roberto. Also has help speed S coming in way later at level 100. And inventory at 75 is also really nice. With that main skill chance up nature, energy recovery down. Additionally, it'll be easier to level, which is a huge deal for Cress being a legend. So I just prefer this one submitted by Roberto. Now, interestingly enough, Roberto actually, before I got to recording this video, but after I made this slideshow, I'd already decided all these slideshow stuff, had this all set out, ready to go. I just needed to record. He actually asked in between those two events, in the Rate My Mon channel of the Discord, if it was worth it to invest over his Wigglytuff. Now, his Wigglytuff is pretty good. It's got Help Speed M, Skill Trigger M, but that's really all it's got going for it. He has invested up to main skill level 6, but this Cresselia is one of the best submitted by the community. I can tell you, Roberto, this thing is tremendously strong. Even if you don't use it for your healer, it'll be tremendously strong as a Berry Burst specialist, because its skill does 2 things. So even if you completely ignore the healing on this thing, it's going to proc so much that it can be a Berry Burst specialist. Because just look at down here. I mean, we're looking at level 50, 8.15 procs per day. If you were to get it to level 75, we're looking at like 8.81, and all the way at level 100, almost 10 procs per day. I did these analyses without good camp ticket. Those are absurd numbers. And getting a lot of healing as well may also kind of invalidate the need for an otherwise healer. It can be your main healer. Now, you may struggle a bit more for energy because it is a weaker healer than other healing options as far as healing goes, but you're getting so much value in berries that it is well worth it. Roberto, you should invest in this. I would tell you anyone that they should invest in this and get on the Espeon hunt as well, because Espeon synergizes really, really well with Cresselia. Definitely, if you have a Cresselia, Espeon is much higher in viability than people who don't have a good Cresselia. So I'd suggest that for your next evolution if you don't already have one. Then the final one here is submitted by Sev_749707. Best in Show. Congrats, Sev. Now, why did I pick this one over Roberto's? Really, it just comes down to that helping bonus. If you look at the raw numbers down here, this is the 0 help bonus stacks set up for it. And this one is the null. So this would be if you are trying to estimate for the rest of the team. And if you compare the raw strength output up here to Roberto's, it actually comes in significantly lower across all 3 tiers pretty much. A little bit better at level 50 because it's only got Help Speed S instead of M. But late game longevity, I mean, these first 4 sub-skills are just golden. This is exactly what you want in the first 4 sub-skills on a Cress. You couldn't ask for any more. Maybe Berry Fighting S. Or no, I guess you could get Skill Trigger S instead of Help Speed S. Or Berry Fighting S. Those might be a little bit better than Help Speed S. But this is still phenomenally good. You couldn't ask for better than this. Now, the nature is not the best. XP gain down does suck on a legend, as I've said before. But the energy recovery up is kind of nice to make sure you don't fall into an energy death spiral, where the healer fails to heal itself, and then that leads to lower frequency on the healer, so it continues to fail to heal itself even more. You don't get that as much if they have an energy recovery up nature. So that's a nice little add-on. But overall, the numbers here, this one does come in at more procs. It will more reliably heal with Roberto's. But realistically, I think either of these could have been number 1 and number 2. I really just kind of ended up picking it based off how I was feeling about helping bonus on the day that I ranked them. One could easily make the case that Roberto's should be better better ranked than Sev's, but I think they're both phenomenal, and I ended up choosing Sev's for best in show. So yeah, that has been a conclusion to our first Cressminster Raptor Den Poké show. If you have enjoyed, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Join our Discord down in the description. There will be a link. You can join it, and you can talk about all things Pokemon Sleep and the like with a good community of people. And perhaps the next time there's a legendary event, or the next time there's some sort of event where I want to review the Pokemon that you're submitting, then you can submit one to get it reviewed this way. In the future, I may do this a little bit differently. I may rely a bit more on you guys to vote on submissions or add reactions in the chat, just so that I don't have to filter through so many through so many Pokemon, because going through 71 it did take up quite a bit of my time, and I'd like to do this a bit more often, but it was very, very fun, so I would like to do it again sometime. And yeah, I've also recently added the join button. Feel free to click that if you are financially capable of doing so and want to support me in that way. And as always, I thank you all for watching and hope that you all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye now.